Greetings, everyone. Good morning to you all. And I'm excited to welcome you all to yet another promising session. First of all, I would like to hold on a second, please. I think I'm having some issues here. As we get prepared for the new week, for the new day rather, it has been very tiring 24 hours, I must say, as we can see how the market has been, most of the last 24 hours been range bound within a particular zone. And as a result of this, we had some couple of stop losses yesterday, which we didn't start the week on that positive note that we expected. But it's okay. The week is still very, very early, and we still have quite a lot of opportunities to catch up to make up on whatever losses we have made yesterday. And one thing I would also like to state here that during this time that we are, we need some level of patience and perseverance to be able to scale through this phase. And I'm very sure you all know how it works. When price action gets caught up within a range like this for an extended period of time, when price action finally breaks out of this structure, the move is always very, very massive. And for us in this community, what we want to be doing here is to ensure that we have positioned ourselves in such a way that we can catch that move when it finally happens. So there's still quite a lot of time. So don't let us lose hope, and let's wait patiently for the structures to mature. So once again, I welcome you all. And for those who are joining us for the first time, well, you are highly welcome. I'm glad to have you guys around. And what we simply do here is to come together as a community, gathering in anticipation of both the New York and the London trading session. And during this time, what we do is review and manage our current positions while we also aim to position ourselves strategically for today's trading session. So you are highly welcome. And we only analyze on the 1 hour time frame, which happens to be our execution time frame. So we already did an analysis during the course of the weekend. So we have 4 financial instruments that we are going to be monitoring for the week, and these are the USDJPY, GBPUSD, XAUUSD, and of course the USOilSPOT. So we already deliberated on this. We did a top-down analysis on this instrument during the weekend. If you had not watched that video, I would advise that you watch the videos, as it will give you a background knowledge of how we got to the current point we are on this 1 hour time frame, and it will also help you to make your own independent decisions on this instrument. I already have the link right in the description box of this current video you are watching. So after the session, you can easily go through it, watch it, digest it. And one thing about it is that they are duly timestamped, so you can easily navigate to whichever aspect is of your interest in that video. So try to watch it, okay, and have a better understanding of how we got to the current point we are in this on the 1 hour time frame. So with that being said here, I would like to get some feedbacks, please, in the comment section as to the sound quality and the visual quality there. So if things are moving fine, if you can hear me clearly without distortions, please let me know in the comment section. And if the video is not lagging, let me know. So the more you let me know, the better I try to do necessary adjustments to make us have a better experience out here. I can see Monsuru Asan Bank Ash. Good morning to you. I hope I pronounced your name correctly. So as usual, the first thing we are going to be doing here is to dive into the economic calendar. Of course, this is how we do on a daily basis. We want to ensure that we keep tabs with what is going on from the fundamental aspect, as we all know that these fundamental factors often manifest on the chart in technical patterns and price movement. And by monitoring the economic calendar, we can identify potential correlations between key economic releases and specific technical patterns. And with this information, we can easily position ourselves prior to the event during the event or even after the event to capture any potential move to either way on the chart. So with that being said, let's dive into the economic calendar. So I normally use the FX Street. So let me zoom this in a little bit so that we can see things clearly here. And we always focus on high impact events from economists of the currency that we are monitoring. And for this week, of course, we are going to be looking at the US economy. We are going to be looking at the UK economy and then the Japanese economy. And for Tuesday, June 27, we have the durable goods order, which is going to be coming up in about 3 to 4 hours from now. And this is the measure. This measures the cost of orders received by manufacturers for durable goods, which means goods planned to last for 3 years or more, such as vehicles and appliances. And the figure here shows the state of the U.S. production activity, which is something majority in the market will want to be looking forward to know if there is buoyancy or there is a contraction in the U.S. economy. Of course, a high reading is seen as something bullish for the U.S. dollar. And from what we have here, the previous data came in at 1.1%. And compared to the general consensus, economists are projecting that is going to be minus 1%. And for that projection to be minus 1, probably there are some signs that there will be some contraction during the course of last month. So we are going to be looking forward to what the actual data is going to be. Will it be just as expected, below expectation, or even beyond expectation? Then simultaneously, we are going to be having the non-defense capital goods order, excluding aircraft. This is an index released by the U.S. Consensus Bureau, and it's the measure of goods of orders received by manufacturers for capital goods. These are capital goods and durable goods used in the production of goods or services, which means goods planned to last for 3 years or more, excluding, this one excludes the defense and aircraft sector. So these are events we are going to be looking forward to, and they are all coming from the U.S. economic docket. So what we are going to be doing here is to try to sniff out and decipher what is likely going to be happening in terms of how the market is going to be reacting to this event. And of course, we shall be seeing this reflect on the chart as price action, giving us an insight into what is likely going to be happening during and after this event. So that is what we are going to be doing during the live session today. So with that being said, and with the information we have here, we shall be diving right into the business for today. So as usual, the first commodity we are going to be taking this morning is going to be the USOilSPOT. And in fact, I had a stop loss on this instrument yesterday, and as a result of that, I decided to stay put and wait and see how the market will be reacting to the structure. And if you remember yesterday, we acknowledged that price has been ranging between the $70 area and the $69 level, and this has been persistent since yesterday into the early hours of today, as you can see here. And you know how we use our flat channel in this community. As long as price action remains range bound like this, we have no other choice than to remain patient and wait for structures to mature, where we are going to be looking forward to either a breakout of the structure for an opportunity to buy the USOilSPOT, or the breakdown of the support line here to give us an opportunity to sell. So at this juncture on the market, we need to be very, very patient. Then there's one more thing I was able to include into this current market structure when I was trying to decipher what is likely going to be happening today, and that is this new ascending trend line you can see on your screen. And I got this after connecting the higher lows in this market. So since Friday, we've seen how price action had consistently found higher lows. So I want to use this as a yardstick to guide my trading activity for today. So what this simply means is that as long as price remains above this trend line, we shall feel comfortable in our buy position, while we also look out for more opportunities at this point. But if price action breaks through that trend line, then at that point we want to start considering selling the US oil spot for today. Then there's one more thing I would like to buttress here, and that has to do with the $70 level, which happens to be the highest point price action has been for this week. You will notice that as soon as price gets into this area, we have been seeing continuous selling pressure around that area, negating all attempt by the buyers to break through that structure. So for us to buy at the resistance line, I would rather wait for a breakout retest of that structure before joining any move. Like I said yesterday, I told us we are going to be having a buy stop order, and in fact we were stopped out in a loss on that one. And for today, I would rather see a breakout of the structure happen, giving me a confirmation that price action has been taken out. Price action has taken out all the sell positions here. Then I will wait for some level of liquidity which would reflect on this chart as price action coming back to retest the $70 area or this bullish trend line, where I look out for buying opportunities to be part of a trend continuation to the upside. So for this case scenario, we need some confirmation before we want to be joining any move at this particular point in time. But trust me, I will be with you in the comment section to give you updates as at when due. However, if price action drops below the trend line, then at this point it's looking more bearish. Now, considering the fact that we have been seeing bearish momentum, selling pressure around that $70 area, if this persists, it could finally lead to the breakdown of that trend line. And if this happens, we have no choice than to start looking out for selling opportunities in this market. And one more thing about the trend line here is the fact that it also shares a confluence with our key level at the $69.50 level. So if price breaks down the key level and the trend line, then at that point we want to be thinking of selling the US oil spot. So to sell the US oil spot at this juncture, I want to see price break through the trend line, which it has done already. We have a retest of structure on our lower time frame. Then we could have a sell stop order below the $69.50 level to join the bearish move to the downside. Then we could maximize the profits here by opening more positions at the breakdown retest of the $69 area. Now, I will also want to let us know that remember last week we saw this impulsive move to the downside, which brought price back into that demand zone we identified in our video on the US oil spot. And you can see it appears buyers have lost that traction to break through that $70 area if it breaks down that trend line. So it will be looking more bearish if price action breaks down, retest both the trend line and our key level at the $69.50 level. So let's keep this in mind. Let's mark these levels out on our chart so that we can use them as reference point when we're about to make our independent decision. But before I close on the US oil spot, since we already have something that looks like a breakdown of the trend line here, I want us to scale down into a much more lower time frame to see how the market has been reacting to both the trend line and the $69.50 level on the lower time frame to decide what our next line of action will be here. Now, scaling down into the 15 minutes time frame, this is what I was able to spot here, so we can see how price still remains around that that's key level at the $69.50 area. So my advice at this point is that we should just hold on a little bit for a significant breakdown to happen, and then we have a retest at one point to join that bearish move to the downside. So that is how I think we can be part of this bearish move at this particular point in time. So let's keep this in mind, mark these levels out, and let's use it as a yardstick to guide our trading activity for today. So that is that on the US oil spots. If you have any questions, let me know right in the comment section, and I'll take the next 10 to 15 seconds to read through the chat and see if there are any questions before I move on to the next pair. All right, so in the absence of no questions, I will assume that we're on the same page here. So I will be moving on to the next instrument for today, which is going to be the GBPUSD. So on the GBPUSD, the same situation is what we have been witnessing here in the last 24 hours. We had some buy positions on this 1-2. We were stopped out on that 1-2 in a loss on the GBPUSD. Remember, we bought at the breakout of that resistant line here after we identified that range between the 1.2740 level and the 1.27100 area, which gave us that simple flat channel to guide our trading activity for the week. But unfortunately, we lost out on that position. Then we also had a sell position here where price moved about 20 pips thereabout in our favor, moved stop loss to break even, taking out of that position, and price action went on to consolidate within that range. And in fact, we now have a wider range. Remember, at the beginning of the week, we had this simple I think how many 0.02300 cents zone here before. Now the range has increased and we have a wider one at this particular point in time, which further emphasizes the level of indecision in this particular market. Now there is one more thing that caught my attention, and that is the 1.27 area. Remember how important we said this level is for us and how it's going to be serving as our yardstick to guide trading activity for the week. And one thing we said about this level is that it has been a major determinant of price action. And in fact, in the last couple of weeks, it has been a very strong demand zone where we saw how sellers found it difficult to break through these structures. And as a result of this, we have agreed that we are going to be making it our key level for the week, where if price action remains above this level, we want to be looking out for patterns and structures that will support an opportunity to buy. But if price breaks down the structure to the downside, retest of that level will definitely welcome the idea of looking out for selling opportunities. And this was further emphasized during the early hours of today. This was in the midnight here, where we saw another buy pressure resume from that area, bringing price back into that 1.27500 area. So it was like a 40 pips move, further emphasizing the strength of the buyers at this particular point in time. Though I personally missed out on that position as it was late in the night here, I was fast asleep when this whole movement happened. But for those who took advantage of that opportunity, well done to you for being on standby to catch that move. However, if you had missed out on that opportunity just like me, well, let's look at the current market structure and see how we can anticipate a potential bullish momentum in this particular market. Then there's one thing we acknowledged at the beginning of the week, which we identified on the 4 hours time frame, and that was the this trend line, this descending trend line we saw here. So throughout last week, we saw how price action had consistently found lower highs in this particular market, giving us a clue of how sellers are strong. But the inability of sellers to break through the 1.2700 level was a red flag that sellers might likely lose that steam and buyers take over from this particular market. And now that we have a breakout of this trend line during the early hours of today, I am of the opinion that things are looking very, very bullish at this particular point in time. And now that we are anticipating this economic event coming from the US economic docket today, we already having a structure forming right now. So how do we intend to position ourselves for this bullish move if that is going to be what will be happening today? So now that we already have a breakout of that trend line, let me zoom in so that we can see things clearly here. So since we already have a breakout of the trend line, I just want to show you this trend line so that you don't miss it. So we have this trend line broken. Now that we have a breakout of the trend line, we all know from a technical standpoint that whenever price action breaks out of a key structure, just like what we have here, we expect it to come and retest that structure at some point, which might likely be something like this. And one thing about the retest is that it also shares a confluence with that bullish trend line we identified on the 4 hours time frame, which of course has been supporting that bullish momentum in the last couple of months, I think. So let's scale up into the 4 hours time frame and let's look at that quickly so that we can all be on the same page here. So this is the bullish trend line I was talking about. So you can see, and price action is currently around that area. Now back into the 1 hour time frame. So back into the 1 hour time frame now. Let me zoom in so that we can see things clearly. So I'm saying that we might likely see price come back to retest both the descending and ascending trend line to incite another wave of bullish momentum. So if price comes thus far, then we are going to be getting ready to buy at the appearance of buy pressure or a reversal pattern, probably a double bottom structure, head and shoulder pattern, or even a falling wedge to join that bullish move to the upside if that is going to be the case. But another scenario that could happen here is that price might not likely drop to that far before we start seeing another wave of bullish momentum. So as a result of that, it could fall into a range around that 1.275 and the 1.274, giving us a trend continuation pattern breakout to trigger that continuation to the upside. So as a result of this, I'm going to be having a buy stop order sitting just right above that 1.27500 area to capture that bullish move to the upside. So that is how I'm going to be looking out for buying opportunity in this particular market. So we want to mark these levels out so that we can use it as a reference point when we're about to make our independent decisions on our account. So trust me, I will be with you in the comment section as always as we get prepared for the economic event coming up later in about 3-4 hours from now. And looking at the other perspective here, that is, what are the tendencies of sellers coming in at this particular point? Well, for me, at this particular point in time, I would have been considering selling as long as price action still remains above the 1.2700 area. Remember, I told you how this level has been a very strong demand zone, and because of the fact that price remains above this zone, I would not be considering selling at all unless the market gives me something significantly convincing to join a bearish move, that is lower lows and lower highs right above that area. Then I could start considering doing some selling opportunities. But at this point, I will remain bullish on the GBPUSD, and if anything new comes up along the line, trust me, I'm going to be with you in the comment section to give you updates on both my TradingView and Telegram platform. So that is that on the GBPUSD for today. If you have any questions, feel free to let me know in the comment section so that I can shed more light on whatever aspect you find doubtful or uncertain about. So I'll take the next 10 seconds to see if there are any questions before I move on to the next instrument. All right, so in the absence of no questions, let's take this as a confirmation that we are on the same page. So we shall be moving on to the XAUUSD. XAUUSD being one of XAUUSD being the instrument we have on our live monitoring platform on my YouTube channel. It has also been a market that has been within a range in the last 24 hours, as you can see here. Price action still remain caught within that 1,935, which happens to be our key level for this week, and then the support line at the 1,922 level, which happens to be the lowest point price action has ever been for this week, giving us a flat channel, giving us a range which further emphasize the level of indecision at this particular point in time. And considering the fact that we're expecting a high impact event coming in from the US economic docket today, we might likely be seeing This might likely be as a result of participants in the market anticipating a catalyst that will bring some liquidity into the market to drive price movement. So as a result of this, we had some sell positions yesterday. We were taking out as well. We had some buy positions. Remember, we took some buy positions, had the breakout of the 1,928, hoping that price will continue to the upside. We moved our stop losses and we were taken out of that trade. Then we also had sell positions around this area, retest of structure confirming that sellers might likely take over, and we were also taken out at break even on that one too. So it has been more of ups and downs in this particular market, which could be tiring sometimes, but if you stick to your plans, we should be able to have the resources to stay through this phase. And I'm very sure as soon as price breaks out of this range, the move is going to be very, very massive. So what we want to be doing in this community is to ensure that we position ourselves in such a way that we can catch that move when it happens. Now, if you look at this structure from an holistic point of view, you will see that it is looking more bearish than bullish. Now look at the highest point where price action got to this week. It was around the $1,933 area. This is the highest point price got to, and since the early hours of today, you can see how price has been finding it difficult to break the previous high, now giving us a lower high. And whenever we start seeing lower highs in the market, it's a clear sign that sellers are gradually gaining momentum, and as a result of this, I'm of the opinion that it's more looking bearish at this particular point in time. So we want to position ourselves just right below this $1,922 level, which happens to be the lowest zone where price action has tested this week. So I want to see a breakdown, retest of that level to join a bearish move to the downside. And if you can afford a wider stop loss, that is, if you can afford a stop loss of about, let me see, of about 80 pips thereabouts on this one, then you could have a sell stop order below this 1,922 to capture that move. But if you can't, then I will suggest that you wait for price action to break down first, then wait for a retest of structure before joining the bearish move to the downside. And one thing about to further emphasize the strength of the sellers in this particular market, remember we had a trend line which we identified in our video during the course of the weekend. So if you had not watched it, please go and do that so that you can have a better understanding of why we have this current market structure. The links are right in the description box of this current video, and they are duly timestamped so you can easily navigate to whichever aspect of the video you want to watch. Now remember, we have this thick green descending trend line which we spotted on the 4 hours time frame. So if price action breaks down the 1,922, it will have come back into the seller's territory, which is just right below that descending trend line. And at that point, I'll have no choice than to start looking out for selling opportunities around that area. Then if price action continues to the downside in such a way that it breaks down the $1,910 level, then I want to be looking out for more opportunities to be part of this bearish move to the downside. So this is simply what I'm going to be looking out for on the XAUUSD. And in fact, things are looking very, very bearish in this particular market. So let's be on standby to catch that move. So that is that on the XAUUSD for today. Then another thing here with this bullish trend line we saw at the beginning of the week. Remember, we spotted these higher lows here, and we saw how price action broke down those higher lows. Everything is just pointing at bearish at this particular point in time. We saw the breakdown of structure. Price action came back to retest the structure, retest the trend line too as well. And since then, we have been seeing lower highs. Price was unable to break the previous high here, giving us a lower high at this point, and selling pressure persists below the $1,928.50 level to further emphasize the strength of the sellers at this particular point in time. So it's looking more bearish. So let's hope that price continues to the downside and we can be part of that bearish move. But trust me, I'm always with you in the comment section to give you updates as at when due. Now, in as much as we're looking out for selling opportunities here, you know how we do it in this community. We also want to ensure that we also analyze the potentials of the buyers at this particular point in time. Well, for me at this area, at this point, I wouldn't be considering buying unless price action breaks out of our weekly key level sitting at the 1,935. Now, if you had watched my video on the XAUUSD, you would remember that we had a key level around the 1,935, which if price breaks above that area, then I can now start considering buying the XAUUSD. And one thing from a long-term perspective here, following the bearish impulsive move to the downside, we could see something looking like a reversal pattern here. The head, we have the left shoulder forming around this area where that our key level is serving as a neckline of this potential reversal pattern. So if a breakout of that neckline happens, that is when I can start considering buying the XAUUSD. But if the market presents an opportunity to be part of that bullish move, even before the breakout of the neckline happens, trust me, I will be sharing with you guys in the comment section of both my TradingView and Telegram platform, and of course on the XAUUSD live monitoring platform on the YouTube channel and the Discord server as well. So these are my views here on the XAUUSD. So let's just focus on that $1,922 level for selling opportunities at this point. So you want to mark these levels out on your chart, where we shall be looking out for opportunities to sell the XAUUSD for today. So that is my view here. If you have any questions regarding what I just explained, feel free to let me know in the comment section. So I will be taking the next 10 to 15 seconds to read through the comment section and see if there are questions. And before we move on to the next instrument, which will also be the last pair we are going to be taking for today. All right, so in the absence of no questions, I want to assume that we're on the same page here. So we'll just be moving on to the last instrument for today on our watch list, and that is the USDJPY. Now, on the USDJPY, the same situation we have been witnessing across all the USD pairs is the same thing happening here in the last 24 hours. As you can see, price action has been range bound. We started the week on a very strong bearish note where we saw price action was caught within that 143.750 and the 143.250 area to give us a flat channel to work for the week. And since the beginning of the week, we have seen our price remain within that range. We also had some selling opportunities here. Remember, we sold at this point, and I told us all when price action moved about 30 pips in our favor that we should move all stop losses to break even. We were taken out at break even, and since price climbed back above the 143.450, I told us all to have a buy position triggered at the retest of this structure. And since yesterday, we can see how price action has still remained within the buy position we had opened yesterday on the USDJPY. We are yet to get to our stop loss on the buy position, and this buy position is still running at this point. So I hope that this move will continue to the upside. Now, in the last couple of hours now, we have had a significant move. I think about how many pips that is now? About 30 pips thereabouts. So I will suggest you move your stop losses to the entry point right now. Let's secure this buy position while we wait and see how price action will be reacting above this entry zone. And remember, during our live session yesterday, we had a trend line which we said we were going to be using to guide trading activity, that if price remains below the trend line, we look out for selling opportunities, but at a breakout of structure, we'll be welcoming buying opportunities in this market. And for the fact that price remains above that trend line, we shall feel comfortable in these buy positions, while we also look out for more opportunity to maximize the potential of this move. Now, to guide our trading activity today, we have new structures that I want to mark out on the chart. This trend line here is no longer needed, hence it is now very invalid at this point. So I'll be taking it out from the chart, and let's mark out new levels. As you can see now that this is the lowest point price action got to this week, and as a result of this, we now have a higher low, a new higher low at this point, giving us a clue that buyers are gradually gaining momentum in the USDJPY market. So what we are going to be doing now is to bring out our line chart and connect the series of higher lows at this particular juncture, and this is going to be what we are going to be using to guide our trading activity for today. And what this simply means is that as long as price action remains above this trend line, we'll feel comfortable in the buy position and look out for more opportunities to maximize this move. So we shall do some little adjustment here when bringing our candle chart. So we have something like this, and I would like to give this a green color to emphasize its bullishness. And at this point, now we have the situation running here. So let's wait and see how price action will be playing out above this trend line. Now, to maximize this move to the upside, I'll be suggesting that we have a buy stop order above the 143.900, which happens to be our key level for this week, where price breaking out of that structure to the upside will definitely be another opportunity to maximize the potential of this bullish move. And for the 143.750, I will suggest that we remain patient here. So I will be deleting this one because remember, this was the highest point price action got to for this week. We saw where that area, we saw selling pressure around that area, pushing price to the downside. And for the fact that price is back into that zone, we want to remain patient and wait and see how price action will be reacting to that level in the next couple of hours to decide if we are really going to be adding more position at that point, or probably get ready for a sell momentum at this point. So I'm hoping that price will break out, and if it does, we have a buy stop order here to capture the trend continuation to the upside. So let's be on standby. Let's mark these levels out on our chart. Now, with that being said here, let us also look at the potentials the sellers also have in this market. Now, if we look at what has been happening in this market since Friday of last week, the first thing you will observe is that the area between the 143.900 level and the 143.750 has been a very strong selling niche in this market. And as soon as price gets into that area, we saw how it has been difficult for the buyers to break through that structure. Now, if this persists during the London and New York session today, there is a high chance that sellers could take over the market. And if we are going to be selling, what do we want to see on this chart that will make us change our buyers from bullish to bearish? Well, since we have a trend line that we just spotted here, and we said we are going to be using it to guide our trading activity today, then obviously we want to see price action breach that trend line for us to start thinking of selling at this particular point in time. So let's see how price action play around this area. If we do have a breakdown, retest of structure, continued selling pressure below this area, we could now start looking out for selling opportunities at this point. So these are my views here on the USDJPY for today, and I hope this is quite clear enough and you have already marked these levels out on your chart and use them as a reference point to guide trading activity for today. So it has been a wonderful moment, though we have been having a little bit of choppy situation since the beginning of the week, but trust me, it is a matter of time we begin to get some momentum as time passes by. And I look forward to seeing you in the comment section on both my TradingView and Telegram platform to give you updates as at when due. And the let me share that quickly. We already have the link to the XAUUSD live monitoring platform, so I will just share that in the comment section now so that you can use it to join the live stream when it finally begins later today. So hold on a second, I will just let me bring that out. Okay. So I will just I'm trying to find the link. Okay, so I found it. So this is going to be the link to the XAUUSD live monitoring chart, which will kickstart by 12:45 UTC today. So you might want to be part of it so that you can see how we are going to be running the XAUUSD live today. So I just shared a link to that live session there. So you want to save it, mark the times on your calendar so that we can be part of the family when it finally begins. So thank you very much for being around. I hope I was able to make your trading decisions a little bit clearer for today, and I look forward to seeing you right in the comment section as usual as we continue to monitor price action. Don't forget to like the video, as your liking helps this video reach a wider audience on the YouTube platform. So thank you very much as you do so. Do have a wonderful evening, everyone. Bye-bye.